The things people get mad about on Twitter always blow me away. But sometimes that anger is so misguided and delusional, it actually makes me angry, and it creates this like Ouroboros of eating its own ass forever, where I'm angry at them, and they're angry at something that doesn't even deserve anger to begin with, and it's just this never-ending cycle of absolute despair. And while I can step back and recognize that this probably isn't healthy behavior on my part, I'm also doing nothing to stop it or break this cycle. In fact, I'm embracing it. I'm swimming around in the swamp and I'm just taking a goddamn bath in it because today I'm here to rant about what Twitter was angry about that made me angry. And that was a viral clip from a couple days ago where James Cameron refused to sign some shit from people that ambushed them outside. People were all up in arms, soiling their little diapers and going crazy about how James Cameron's ego needs to be checked. He's such a fucking douchebag for not signing those fans' autographs and this and that. And they didn't stop to think for even just 1 second that those weren't fans that were just shoving all kinds of merch in his face for him to sign. They were resellers. They were scalpers. They were fucking parasites. And James Cameron had every right to decline signing that shit because nobody likes resellers. Like, that's not a hot take. So I'll go ahead and play the clip now and then we'll dive into it a bit deeper. I went over it on stream, so I'll play that and then I'll come back in here so we can digest it even further. Oh yeah, I pulled this up because I saw this making the rounds on Twitter with some absolute terrible takes. I guess I'm curious, what does chat think of this?
James Cameron swears at fans after they beat him for not signing autographs.
Okay, so that's the clip. That warms my heart seeing overwhelming W's. Twitter was the opposite. Twitter got so upset for James Cameron, and I think it's because they have to be like actually 11 or brain dead. These aren't fans. These are scalpers and autograph resellers. I think James Cameron fucking ignoring them, not signing their shit so they could peddle it for some kind of crazy markup online is a fat fucking dubski for James Cameron. And the way they reacted to not getting that autograph, that sense of entitlement is sickening. One guy had the gall, the chutzpah, to say, "Pay up, asshole." Pay up, asshole. As if he fucking owes you that when you're just gonna go on Craigslist and try and resell that fucking dirty sock you're having him autograph or whatever. Absolute parasite vulture piece of shit. I hate it. And I felt like I was taking crazy pills because on Twitter, all of them were the opposite. James Cameron needs to get his ego checked. I'm not watching Avatar anymore. James Cameron's such a prick. Maybe James Cameron is a prick, but like I don't know enough about him to say that. The movie was good, and I think this behavior, it made me like him. Like, it's just the disconnect and like the lack of ability to figure out that these aren't fans. It's people just trying to sell his autograph. Oh, it made me furious. I got heated. Exactly, he does not owe anyone an autograph. If these were fans, I would imagine he would be more inclined to sign their shit. As opposed to being ambushed by paparazzi, scalpers, and resellers out of the fucking back door here. And then, like, immediately heckled and shit on. Yeah, it was a certified Twitter moment seeing the top replies to this. Oh, the Reddit comments are on his side. On James Cameron's side. It was just Twitter. I saw it first on Twitter. Twitter is home of brain rot. It's only getting worse too, man. It really feels like people are getting dumber and dumber and dumber on Twitter, man. It's weird. I felt like this should have been overwhelmingly in support of James Cameron here. Because, like it's not even a hot take. Nobody likes paparazzi, no one likes scalpers, and no one likes just autograph resellers. And yet, for some reason, they all dogpiled on James Cameron for this. Like, I don't know what happened. Once again, going back to the initial clip, the immediate outrage at James Cameron and everyone yelling and screaming at him and all their voices sound like middle-aged chain smokers. Just, like, that's not a rational response to this. Again, even if they were fans, they're not entitled to an autograph from James Cameron. But it's very clear these weren't fans to begin with. They were people looking to make a profit off selling his signature.
Avatar! Fuck you!
This response actually just sounds like your local Beef O'Brady's when they announce they're out of Miller Lite to serve during a Monday night football game. It's very clear these aren't fans. They just saw this as a payday where they had the dollar signs in their eyes. When James Cameron came out, he'll sign their shit and they'll go turn around and sell it for a huge markup to actual fans of the series. Like, they're just pieces of shit. And I'm pretty sure the guy that's filming this is the one that keeps saying "Avatard." He's very proud of that little zinger that he came up with because he says it like 3 times. He just keeps saying "Avatard." And I know some people were like, oh, James Cameron took it so far with giving them the finger. Man, fuck that and fuck them. I think that's a totally reasonable thing to do. As you're driving away, just hit him with one of these bad boys. Maybe even the double whammy. Like, I think that's totally fine. And again, it's important to remember, he doesn't owe you shit. Even if you are a massive super fan who took an entire night off of work in order to ambush him because you found his GPS location through a fucking UAV or something. Like, even if you were a big fan that just wanted an autograph for your own personal use, he doesn't owe that to you, and you can't be upset if he declines to sign it. Being disappointed is a totally normal thing to respond with, like, oh man, I would have really liked that autograph. But this kind of, like, absolute, like, immediate uproar is craziness. It's because people just realized they spent money to, like, Uber there or whatever, and now they're not going to be able to sell his autograph online, so that realization's setting in and they're lashing out like little children. And I really think the response to this clip is very telling of, like, the general mentality of Twitter users, this sense of entitlement. Like, they truly believe that even if they were real fans, James Cameron should do everything for them. He should bend over and let them suck his fart out of his butt, like if they asked. They have this belief that everyone around them is props for their own world. Like, they are the main character, thus everything should be going their way, and when it's not, they get angry. I think that's, like, the general, like, headspace a lot of people on Twitter are in. So they saw this and got offended that James Cameron didn't sign this merch. Without ever even considering the possibility that these weren't fans, they were just trying to capitalize off that signature so they could make fucking $200, $300 or whatever that's going for online. Like, it's just, it's silliness, and it made me upset. It got me heated. It got me steaming a little bit. So I just wanted to talk about this a little bit, and that's about it. See ya. Time is a very cruel thing, and getting old is the ultimate cringe. But unfortunately, you can't escape it. Aging is an unavoidable fate, unless you're Peter Pan or a lobster, I guess. And the older I get, I take a look in the mirror, and I no longer see a young, spry whippersnapper named Charles with stars in his eyes. I see Squidward. Because now, just like Squidward, when I see people having fun in ways that I don't fully understand, it gets under my skin and I start complaining. As I'm entering my geriatric years, all I want to do is play my clarinet and then, you know, shake my fist screaming, "Bah humbug, you wipe that smile off your face right now, you fucking milk-drinking little nerd. I don't understand why you're enjoying that kind of content." And that's what I'm here to do again today. I'm here to just complain about something I don't fucking get, and something I think is really stupid. It's the entire Baby Grunk stuff going on right now. This shit has been contaminating my Twitter timeline for the last 3 days. Basically, is Baby Grunk the new Drip King, or is he just getting rizzed up by Livy? I'm bilingual, I speak fluent English and gamer, and neither one of those help explain what I just read there. Son of a bitch, what does that mean? I had to do legitimate research to figure out what all of this was about. So I'm here to share my findings like an archaeologist presenting it to the museum, so that way you too can understand what all this hoopla is about. And I'll just boil it down to the basics. Baby Grunk is like a 9-year-old kid who's, I guess, like a football prodigy, but it's his dad that's kind of the puppet master behind this whole operation of viral fame, where the dad keeps pathetically messaging every outlet ever to keep reporting on his son to keep the memes alive, so that way his son can have a bigger online presence, like on Instagram, TikTok, and all of that. So it's his dad trying to pump up these online numbers. And through the interviews I've watched with Baby Grunk and his dad, it's super clear that the dad is just living vicariously through his child here and trying to make money off of his viral fame. So I actually think it's really fucking sad, honestly. But let's go through this whole thing top to bottom. It all started with this video.
Hey, are you that kid from the internet?
Yeah, I'm Baby Grunk.
I'm Liv. Nice to meet you. What are you doing at LSU?
I'm a player.
You have to come here. It's awesome.
I probably will.
You're so cute.
That whole interaction felt like it was NPCs in Skyrim having some kind of malfunctioning dialogue tree take place. That was so fucking weird. So, what happened there? The woman in that video, her name's Livy Dunn, and she's an online sensation as well as just a very high-level gymnast, so she is an adult. And Baby Gronk is 9 years old. And this led to the internet as well as Baby Gronk's father leaning into the idea that these two were flirting with each other, which is why the caption is Riz Game. For those that don't understand, Riz is like charisma, and it's kind of just replaced like flirting. Basically, when you're talking about Riz, you're talking about like how well you were able to communicate with a female flirtatiously, if I was to try and break it down scientifically. So to try and like spin this interaction as some kind of like romantic thing, I think is fucking awful. That shit is creepy. What in tarnation? That is a 9-year-old child. And Livy is an adult. That is so weird, especially for the dad to be leaning into that shit. Here's an interview he did about it from TMZ.
Everyone's wondering if you're the new Drip King. We got to ask Baby Gronk himself, are you the new Drip King?
Yeah.
Oh, so...
Another new wild name enters into the Thunderdome. Drip King is the name of a guy who was previously dating Livy. He called himself the Drip King. It sounds like a title that you would earn, like in the Fast and Furious universe, how they have the Drift King. But it's not. It's just some goofball on the internet called Drip King. And now, since the Livy and Baby Gronk had that meetup and people spun it as like a romantic thing, people are saying Baby Gronk's the new Drip King. And if you pay attention in this interview here, the dad walks away and you can literally hear him tell Baby Gronk to flex on them. I'll play it again just in case you missed it.
Yeah.
To me, it seems pretty clear that this is a father who was unable to achieve anything of note in his own life and is now trying to do everything possible to control his child's life to fulfill his dreams. You see this a lot in the modern landscape of things where parents use their children as props in their videos or as vessels for their own clout hunger. There is no shortage of examples for parents that try and live vicariously through their kids or try and use their kids to make money for themselves. That's something that's been happening for a long time now, and this really seems like another one of those sad cases.
So Livy, wasn't just rizzing you up for clout then?
No, I told him, if whenever you turn 18 years old, maybe you and Livy can get together and y'all can be the richest couple on the internet.
That just sounds so creepy. This is a child. Bro, your kid is a kid. There are Fortnite skins almost as old as your son. Why are you even talking like this?
Livy just convinced Baby Gronk to commit to LSU. Baby Gronk is the #1 college football prospect in the country. He averages 300 yards and 5 touchdowns a game. On his visit to LSU, Livy rizzed him up. Livy even hugged Baby Gronk. He might be the new Riz King. Do you think Baby Gronk will lead LSU to a national championship?
This is what really made the whole thing go viral. This video got posted everywhere talking about how uncomfortable it made them, saying the video made them feel schizophrenic because the dude in it is so concerningly robotic. He's like an animatronic from fucking Five Nights at Freddy's. It's just a weird video, but it's clearly by design. The guy behind it, I think, is pretty obviously making a joke out of it, like it's supposed to be satirical. But it is still an odd thing to catch on as a meme about a child and an adult like flirting with each other and convincing this kid to go to that college to play sports. Now, the stats that he vomits out there, like the 300 yards and 5 touchdowns a game, I'm pretty sure that's all just made up and baloney, just made to be silly and over the top. But even still, the dad does keep getting these celebrities and college campuses to like meet up with his son or take his son on a tour of the campus, and he makes content around that. So a lot of people really did believe that he was like getting recruited to these colleges and committing to like LSU like off rip. But that just doesn't make any sense. Just because a kid's dominating the Pee Wee football league, if he actually is, that doesn't mean that he's a good college recruit. He's 9 fucking years old. He just graduated from diapers a few years ago. There are so many things that could change on his journey through life. He could stop wanting to play football. He could stop growing. He could just, decide to play with Legos for the rest of his life. Like, that would be a really awful start for recruiting. Like, I highly doubt colleges are legitimately looking at a 9-year-old as a potential prospect. Usually they'd look at like high school, and I guess maybe like middle school if there's some absolute like mutant football playing god there. But that's just not even the case here. He's not even in middle school. So I think it's all just a bunch of, you know, mumbo jumbo in order to increase the virality of the Baby Gronk brand. It's all calculated from the father, and it's all really fucking embarrassing from the dad. Everything I read from him makes me like dislike the dad more and more, such as him talking about how he's always had a plan for his son and it's playing out right now, which really makes it seem like he only had a kid in order to focus on one thing in particular, which was money making. He also talks about and toots his own horn about how great at marketing he is and how he really understands the internet landscape and the balance between reality and the internet world. He tries to spin it in a way where he's like a hero who's just making sure his son is set for life so he can be a millionaire as soon as possible. But it really just comes off as kind of slimy to me. But yeah, there was another follow-up video after that one went viral where it kind of, you know, exacerbated the meme even further and then even brought the Drip King into the equation.
Baby Gronk just stole Livy from the Drip King. On his visit to LSU, Baby Gronk rizzed up Livy and they started dating. They are so in love, Baby Gronk got Livy's name tattooed on his arm. Is Baby Gronk the new Drip King, or is Livy just using him for clout?
Goodness gracious. Talking about a child and an adult being in love here. For the sake of the meme, I guess? I don't know. I get that it's supposed to be satire. I understand that. But it's still fucking weird, and even weirder that the father of that child is leaning into it for his kid. Talking about, you know, like, eventually they'll be dating in the richest couple in the world or whatever, and then, I guess, writing Livy's name on his son's arm? That shit is weird! It's creepy! What the fuck? I am really surprised that Livy hasn't just shut that shit down herself, been like, yep, this is creepy. Wow. But I just wanted to talk about it a little bit, because this is a meme that for some reason, or not even like a meme, like a story, I guess, because so many articles are being written about it every day now, that's just infested my Twitter feed. Like, it is all over Twitter, and I just needed to get to the bottom of what the fuck was going on, and now that I understand it, I dislike it even more. Shit sucks. I feel really bad for the kid. I legitimately do feel bad for Baby Gronk because his dad is a loser, and it feels like he's just trying to exploit his son for money here on the internet through viral fame. So that is always awful when there's a parent that does that. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit, and that's it. So yeah. I've been more into lawsuits than Saul Goodman recently. I've become such a huge lawsuit enthusiast over the last, like, 6 or so months. Not me, like, issuing lawsuits, I've still never done that, though with all the stories I've read, that could be a very interesting branch of content, just frivolously filing lawsuits to see how it goes, I guess. Because apparently no one ever gets punished for doing that. Best example is the classic, silly Billy Mitchell, the video game player of the century who files a new lawsuit anytime someone makes a joke about him being a cheater. And I'm not using the word allegedly, Billy. You are a scumbag cheater, and I hope you lose all of your ongoing lawsuits, brother. But anyway, enough bravado here and lat spreading on Billy Mitchell, celebrating every single L that he keeps taking, and will most likely continue to keep taking. Let's focus on what I want to talk about. I have really enjoyed diving into the most outrageous, most unhinged lawsuits imaginable. And last night, I found the magnum opus. This is the craziest lawsuit I've ever even been made aware of. There was a lawsuit I covered a couple years ago where there was a Twitch viewer who was suing Twitch because they were showing him female streamers and he couldn't stop jerking off, so he was suing for like millions of dollars worth of damages, claiming like it's immoral that Twitch would have these, you know, female streamers doing suggestive things and it forces him to masturbate or whatever. And that, to me, for a while, was probably one of the most entertainingly awful lawsuits I'd read about, but what I read last night actually beats it. A man in Australia filed a lawsuit against a hospital for $1 billion Australian dollars, which converts to about 643 million freedom bucks. And the reason he was suing this hospital is because he watched his wife give birth. He believed that what he had witnessed there was basically a war crime, like a violation of his human rights and a complete failure on that hospital's duty of care to him to make sure that he didn't see that. He was upset because the hospital not only allowed him to watch his wife's birth via C-section, but also encouraged it. Which to me doesn't sound like anything weird from the hospital. I mean, they call it the miracle of childbirth for a reason. Plus, if he wasn't allowed to watch it, I feel like that would be a huge problem. Being denied access to your wife during, like, the most important moment of your relationship, I imagine would actually be grounds for a lawsuit. Most people, I would imagine, would want to be there with their partner to you know, comfort and, you know, be able to take part in the gift of life, I guess. But this guy believed that they should have, like, shielded his eyes and plugged his ears or something, and the fact that they didn't caused him psychotic illness. And he believes he's entitled to at least $1 billion Australian dollars in damages. Did you hear about the man suing a hospital for $642 million after watching his wife's C-section and said it gave him a psychotic illness? You've got my attention. You undersold this. He's actually suing the hospital for $643 million. Man tries to sue a hospital for $643 million after he was encouraged to watch his wife's C-section. A man in Australia accused a hospital in Melbourne of causing him to develop a psychotic illness after he watched his wife undergo a cesarean section. Interesting. 643 million clams. Anil Coppola tried to sue the Royal Women's Hospital for letting him watch his wife's birth via C-section in 2018. He unsuccessfully sought 1 billion Australian dollars, which is 643 million. A judgment on the lawsuit filed in the Supreme Court of Victoria in Melbourne last week shows. How could this have not worked? What went wrong? Mr. Coppola's wife that day had a healthy baby delivered by cesarean section. Mr. Coppola alleges that he was encouraged or permitted to observe the delivery, that in the course of doing so he saw his wife's internal organs and blood, and that the experience caused the onset of a psychotic illness. He says the hospital breached the duty of care it owed to him and is liable to pay him damages. The hospital admits that it owed to him a duty of care, but denied that it breached it and does not accept that he suffered any injury. In his amended statement of the claim on October 22nd, Mr. Coppola, who is self-represented, that sounds about right. That tracks. Assessed his damages for psychological injury at $1 billion. Isn't this so cringe? The human body is so cringe that C-sections are pretty common because we're not developed enough, we haven't evolved enough to make birthing efficient. So oftentimes they have to deliver the baby through the stomach. Evolution just is... It's got to catch up. We've got to redefine the meta. Birthing should be like the most efficient thing humans are good at. It's like the whole purpose of being an organism. To reproduce. I was just talking to my mom about that. That is an interesting conversation to have with your mom, but yeah, it is a fascinating anomaly why we haven't evolved to be better at it. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, 32.1% of all baby deliveries in the U.S. in 2021 were cesarean section. Wow. Coppola filed the lawsuit several years after the operation, saying it caused the onset of a psychotic illness that led to a breakdown of his marriage. Yeah, that was the reason. The reason me and my wife broke up is because I had to watch her get a C-section and I've never been the same. I couldn't look at her the same way. She grossed me out. It was so fucking yucky. I hated her for it. And I hated the hospital for making me see her like that. I've seen her inside and out. Yeah, stared into the abyss. Coppola chose to represent himself in court, where Justice James Gorton dismissed the suit and deemed the claim an abuse of process. I would agree with that. Did he give him like a big speech like, listen, goofball, this is ridiculous. Go home. Get out of my court. If men could birth, would you rather birth an NFL football out of your brown eye or a U.S. quarter out of your one eye? What a philosophical inquiry. I don't know. If I could, if I had to give birth right now and I got to choose, I'd probably try and do it like Majin Buu. So I'd like vomit up the creature. I'd really rather not tear my whole ass out or anything like that. That's Piccolo. No, Majin Buu did that too, right? When he vomited out into Super Buu? Or am I misremembering? The trial proceedings included a medical examination of Coppola, with the panel concluding the degree of psychiatric impairment did not satisfy the threshold level, according to the judgment. Lawsuits that are seeking damage for non-economic losses, such as this one, require that an injury is significant, the judgment said. With regards to the medical panel's conclusion, Coppola said he disagreed with it, though the judgment said he was unable to agitate the correctness of it. I can't believe he didn't get $1 billion out of this, because he watched his wife's C-section, and then they got a divorce 3 years later. I want to see if this was televised. I'd love to see how he defended himself. Unfortunately, no footage exists of how this panned out, but man, I would really like to hear some of his arguments. No, listen, Your Honor, you don't understand. A baby came out from her tummy. I can't sleep anymore. I can't even look at her anymore. It's why our marriage fell apart, damn it. It's the hospital's fault for letting me see such a thing. I also love the confidence and delusion to ask for $1 billion from this. Our marriage was so good, Your Honor, you don't understand. It was worth at least $1 billion in order to make up for all of this hardship. I can't believe this. How could they be so cruel to let me see my child being born? No, damn you. Now, obviously, I think this is one of those cases where someone knows that it's ridiculous, but they try anyway and hope to settle out of court. So they go for like this alarmingly huge number and then try and like negotiate behind closed doors to just squash it. But with something this outlandish, that was never even in the cards. This is such a bogus baloney claim that it never even made it anywhere and never stood a chance either. I think there is a 0% chance that this guy is permanently scarred for life after watching his wife give birth. Like, I understand C-sections are a little scary. Like, I know what they are. Now, granted, I've never seen one in person, so maybe it's different in the Thunderdome. Maybe I'd see it and also just have a full-blown breakdown, my universe crumbles around me and it fucks me up for life. But even in that case, I still don't think I'd ever win a case for $1 billion because of that. I think that's a hard sell right there. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about this one a little bit because this one had me giggling. This is probably this has to be among the largest asks for a lawsuit based on legitimately nothing. So yeah, just wanted to talk about this a bit. That's it. So yeah. You all know I'm not a big believer in the paranormal. All that hocus pocus and all that mumbo jumbo about ghosts and goblins and ghouls and gnomes and Santa Claus. It's all a bunch of hooey. The only metaphysical conundrum that I believe in is the mystery of why I'm stuck at 5'6". But aside from that, not much else. Though today we're going to be talking about something that's got me scratching at my chinny chin chin here in curiosity, because there is a TikTok time traveler who made a few predictions. And they actually kind of blew up on TikTok. So much so that we had someone come out to the warehouse about 2.5 weeks ago to help fix the air conditioning that was broken. And before leaving, he mentioned to Matt that we need to make sure that we really hunker down, board everything up, and prepare for a Category 6 hurricane that was blowing in about 2 weeks. And Matt was stunned. So Matt sat there like he had just been hit with a fucking flashbang and tear gas at the same time. His brain literally blue screened upon hearing this. A Category 6 is not real. That's never... Category 5 is the highest it goes. So this goes above and beyond. It's going fucking plus ultra. And this guy is claiming that there's one on the way, even though there was no information about that anywhere. So Matt poked a little bit to see where he got it from. And he said a time traveler on TikTok said it. And that's when the light bulb went off in Matt's head. Eureka! He knew it was time to take this seriously now. There was a lot of weight behind this claim. So this is the video that was floating around and actually gaining a lot of steam online. Yes, I am a real time traveler. Here are all of the events to come in the final months of 2023, September. This isn't unusual for TikTok. Every single goofball with a phone likes to pretend that there's some kind of time traveler giving us warnings, and they just make like a ton of fucking outrageous claims. And this one said on September 4th, the first ever Category 6 hurricane occurs. It runs up almost the entire US East Coast, but it mainly affects Florida and both the Carolinas. Now, when Matt told me, I had already told him I knew that, because I am very in touch with the goofy shit that happens online. I had actually already made fun of this video on stream as well. When Matt told me about this, I giggled quite hard. I nearly spit up on myself. I still can't believe that real human beings in the real world will see some shit like that on TikTok and not give an iota of thought to it, and never even have the idea that it could be a lie cross their mind. This is a complete stranger on TikTok claiming to be a time traveler, making outrageous claims, and then some people just pog out to it and take it at face value, believing it. Like, holy shit, a Category 6 is rolling in, we gotta get fucking prepped. John Titor on TikTok said so. John Connor, Johnny Silverhand, the TikTok time traveler, this asshole said a Category 6 is coming, so it must be true. It's amazing. But the reason that I mentioned this was 2 weeks ago is because fast forward to now, and we had Hurricane Lee forming, and it was a very quick Category 5 and only getting stronger, threatening the East Coast. And a couple days ago, Matt told me, Charles, if this turns out to be right, we're gonna feel real fucking silly for making fun of this. He tried to warn us, but we didn't believe him. And I was actually starting to panic a little bit, thinking the universe around me was crumbling. My understanding of this very dimension we inhabit was starting to be called into question here. Maybe this was the one asshole telling the truth and is somehow an actual time traveler trying to get the message across. And I spit on it. But then it turns out, no, he was completely wrong. He not only predicted the wrong date, but he made like 5 other predictions that are just ridiculous. And also, Hurricane Lee has lost most of its strength. It's still a Category 3 hurricane as of right now, and it's also not going to Florida like the time traveler predicted. I also want to show you the other predictions they made in the same video. They said on September 10th, 20 people are chosen to see the afterlife, to know what it is like when you pass. What does that even mean? Does God hold some kind of reality show competition to choose 20 people to take a peek at heaven? Like, what is this? A deal or no deal situation? 20 people get to take a vacation to the afterlife? Do they come back? Because if not, this is just 20 people dying. And if that's the case, the bigger news on September 10th would have been that only 20 people in the world died. Because I've got news for the time traveler here. There's far more than 20 people seeing what the afterlife is like every single day. So this one, I just don't fucking understand at all. They then say, this makes the entire population to focus on finding a way to live much longer, as less than 5% are happy after. So I guess whatever time that this guy traveled from, they lost the ability to write in proper syntax. This is broken. I can't even deduce what the claim is. So after 20 people take a visit to the afterlife, less than 5% are happy after, and the population focuses on ways to live longer? You mean like what they're doing every single day? Science is constantly striving for ways for people to live longer. And that's without the 20 chosen afterlife spectators. And again, do the people that go to the afterlife come back to tell us about it? Like, what the fuck? Now, the next one is still upcoming, so this one still remains to be seen. But on September 18th, they claim that an invisible wall is put down to surround Mexico and Guatemala. It was put there by a hostile alien species to try and weaken us when they attack. Why? Why would they be putting an invisible wall there? Did they just play a ton of Starfield and see how effective invisible walls were or something? And if they have that kind of technology, why not just put an invisible wall around like pretty much everywhere? Cut everyone off. And also, why even use that in the first place? They also just fucking attack. If they're here, they'll probably beat our ass in an all-out war. The final claim from the time traveler for September of 2023 is on September 23rd, a Spirit Airlines plane crashes in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It actually went through a wormhole where it is 2 seconds to them, 6 years to us, and they return in 2029. Call me crazy, but I highly doubt that last one's happening. But who knows? It still remains to be seen. I really think that this was probably made by a teenager That whole last section there just feels like it was a piece of his creative writing course for like his English class or something, which is fine. Like, it's really not that big of a deal, but somehow we met a person, a real living, breathing human being outside of the internet that believed this shit. Like with the upcoming Category 6 hurricane. So much so that they were trying to tell us that we need to prep for it. I'm assuming they had already started stockpiling like doomsday preppers getting ready for it. And that is tragic. That we've reached the point where people will actually believe anything. Not that I'm surprised. I'm not surprised by it. We see this all the time on Twitter where people will believe the most outrageous shit without even a single morsel of evidence to support it. But I've just never seen it in the real world. I thought that was mainly brain rot internet brain, but no. This was a seemingly completely normal guy and just happened to really buy into this hype that there was a Category fucking 6 hurricane that was coming in like 2 weeks. But you know what? I'm putting the carriage before the horse here. You know, there's still time for some of his other predictions to see if those come true or not. You know, he got a couple of them wrong, sure, but you know, who isn't wrong sometimes? But anyway, I just had to talk about this a little bit. That's it. See ya. There's a mystery afoot, so grab the Scooby snacks and let's get to work. A pool at a Quality Inn has been mysteriously turning green 12 separate times. This isn't how God intended. This is not natural. They suspect this is intentional sabotage at this particular Quality Inn, but when authorities check the surveillance camera footage, they find no evidence of any culprits going to the scene of the crime or anything like that. How is that possible? Are they being attacked by an invisible man? Is this a situation out of The Happening where the plants are fighting back and they're responsible for the pool turning green 12 times? What's the motive? And most importantly, who really is behind it? It's very clear that there is a supervillain loose here, and only I'm qualified to crack this case and get to the bottom of it. When it comes to mysteries, I'm like L from Death Note. I figured out what happened to D.B. Cooper. I even solved the mystery of who shit in my pants when I went to Halloween Horror Nights in middle school. There's nothing I can't solve given enough time. But luckily in this case I didn't need to. In fact, the authorities pieced the puzzle together and it is so fucking wacky I can't wait to share it with you.
Cops pull up to a shocking sight. A pool where the water has turned neon green.
What in the world? What is that?
Sandra Woolston, the co-owner of this Quality Inn and Suites in New Jersey, was baffled when her motel pool mysteriously turned from clear water to this.
The voiceover for this one makes it sound like an old infomercial. Turned from clear water to this! Ew! But luckily with OxyClean, we got it right back to a clear blue. I don't know why he's, like, exaggerating all of the statements in this manner, like with his intonation, but it's really enjoyable. It makes it, like, even more gripping, in my opinion. But anyway, that's the story in a nutshell. This Quality Inn, for some reason, keeps having their pool turn green. And the only way to fix that is for them to keep draining the pool, which is extremely expensive.
I watched it turn green in front of my eyes.
Somebody is sabotaging my pool. My pool is yellow as my guests can go inside the pool.
I broke down. I didn't know what to do because with all these kids waiting to use the pool, but they couldn't go in.
The pool had to be drained and refilled with clean water. 2 days later,
the vandalist is back again. Our pool is green as a grass.
It happened a total of 12 times.
So either this place is cursed where they've built it on top of a Hulk burial ground and he's getting his revenge by turning the pool green with gamma radiation, or there really is a practical jokester that's really taken a liking to turning this pool green for some reason. That's all the information we have to work with so far. There are some more clues we'll get to in a moment, but let's start to piece together potential narratives together as a thought experiment. Perhaps whoever is responsible for sabotaging this is a previous guest at the Quality Inn who recently had a negative experience with that pool. Now, if I was on scene during this investigation with my monocle, magnifying glass, and pipe that I was smoking, the first thing I would ask would be if I could have access to the guest registry over the last couple of weeks, and if there'd been any reports of complaints from the guests about the pool. Assuming, of course, the Quality Inn keeps records on their complaints, it would give me a narrower list of suspects that I could focus on. I'd then set up an interview with each name on that list, and I'd do a little game of good cop, bad cop, where I'd be the bad cop and the good cop would come in with like a soda from McDonald's. I'd invite them to drink the soda. When they take a sip, I would then inform them that what they just consumed was truth serum, which means they could no longer lie. Then I'd finally finish it off with the brain buster, the most important question, did you do it? And then I'd gauge their response from there.
This is every damn day, man! Look at the pool!
That's like neon yellow color.
It was just, and the entire pool was engulfed.
What was turning the pool green? Here was the first clue. An object she found at the bottom of the pool.
I'll be honest, that object looks like some kind of extraterrestrial being. If you put a picture of that object on the r/alien subreddit, they would gobble that shit up as true evidence of like an alien brainstem or something. That would give me no clues here. I'd start really thinking paranormal about this. Like, oh, maybe there's not a person behind this. Maybe it's a cryptid or something. I don't know what the fuck that is. That looks disgusting. Whatever that is. It must be whatever turns the pool green. Some kind of like dissolvable mesh or some shit maybe that, you know, distributes the green dye to the rest of the pool. But yeah, that shit is yucky.
But when police reviewed the motel surveillance video, they found nothing suspicious. Here's Stephen Fabian.
So how did the pool turn green? Well, cops say the culprit used a drone like this to hover over his target before releasing a concentrated packet of dye.
The dye is actually a life-saving device used for ocean rescues.
When they broke the magician's code and revealed how this was most likely done, it blew my tiny little brain. I realized at that moment I would never cut it as a detective trying to piece together a complicated case. That whole idea never even crossed my noodle as a possibility. That the reason someone didn't show up on surveillance camera yet the pool still turned green was because it was transported via drone outside of the security camera's, field of view. That would have never been something I thought of. That is actually so devious. It's admittedly a pretty clever plan here because then the actual person responsible for it is a long distance away from the scene of the crime, so there's not a ton of breadcrumbs to follow. This is one of those galaxy brain maneuvers that you see fictional villains do in media. But somehow, the cops did catch him. So I'm not only impressed by the method they used here in order to distribute the green dye to the pool, but also the fact that they got caught.
So, who do police say was behind the attacks? They arrested 45-year-old Patrick Spina, who owns a heating and air conditioning business close to the motel. The motive? Cops say he's a prankster. He didn't have much to say when we caught up with him.
There he is, that scoundrel. So, they've got him. Apparently, I will say that they didn't do a great job of explaining how they really connected him to this. So apparently he owns a business nearby, but when I first heard that, I thought it'd be like, oh, it must be a competing business and this is his way of sabotaging a competitor, trying to like take them out of business or financially harm them. But apparently they believe the motive is genuinely him just being a quirky little jokester. I also needed to dig a bit deeper in here to figure out how exactly they connected this drone to this individual. So apparently they had spotted it over the Quality Inn on September 1st and then just followed it back to where he was and then arrested him. So they did catch him red-handed with his hand in the cookie jar here, but the motive of just being a prankster is incomprehensible to me because this is not a prank. This is a dozen times. This is just genuine vandalism and trying to ruin that business. Because it's super expensive to keep fixing that. Not only did they have to keep draining the pool and refilling it, but now they're going to have to refinish it too, since the green dye is harmful to the pool as well. So the frequency and all of that makes it seem like it's not really a joke, because I mean, what's the haha moment? It's just this fucking goofball. Like, there's no way he's treating this like a joke. There had to be a deeper motive to it that I don't think is pranks. Though I guess I could be totally wrong here, since pranks in the modern age are just legitimate degeneracy and actual just harming people half the time. So maybe it is possible that this is just his idea of what a prank is, but it really took a big toll on the motel's owner because it is super expensive.
I just hope that this bonehead pay for what he did and he never ever do anything this dumb and so stupid to impact other people's livelihood.
The suspect is charged with criminal mischief and faces fines as much as $30,000. The hotel owner says that prank cost her at least $20,000.
Yeah, so the mystery has been solved. He is facing a charge for this and hopefully will be responsible for paying for all the damages caused to the motel. a happy ending here, but what a wild little adventure to go on, because, again, I don't know how you'd ever really piece this one together if you never saw the drone in the surveillance camera or anything. They must have just got lucky that they saw the drone over the quality in at one point and then just followed it back to home base. Yeah, so now we can comfortably close the books on the mysterious case of the pool turning green. Just wanted to share that with all of you. That's about it. See ya. I've been back and forth for a little while now on whether or not to make a video about this topic because it's not exactly goofy, but the more I read about it, the wackier it becomes and the more unbelievable the story is. I'm sure you've seen all the headlines by now that Brittany Griner is being exchanged for a Russian criminal known as the Merchant of Death. Now I'll go ahead and bring you up to speed on the lore if you don't know exactly what this is referring to. Brittany Griner was one of the best WNBA players in the league, and she was detained in Russia on drug charges about 10 months ago. The drug charges were super minor. It was like 2 tiddlywinks of weed. They basically threw her in the slammer for thinking about marijuana. The actual story was they came after her for smuggling because they found vaporizer cartridges on her person which contained less than a gram of hash oil. So super trivial amount really. You'd find more devil's lettuce in a church bathroom. She wasn't exactly some drug kingpin who was trying to escape the country with a duffel bag full of jazz cabbage. It was very small stuff. She was detained and thrown into a labor camp for the last 10 months. And since then, the US has been working to try and set up a trade with Russia to get her back. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tackle this complicated issue real quick, just right away, because I've seen so many people mention this, that this same thing would happen in America for the same level of, possession. People in America get thrown in jail for years for very minor drug charges. And you're right. That's horrible, too. It's horrible when it happens in America. It's horrible that it happened to Brittany Griner in Russia. They can both be terrible together. I think we can all agree on that. That's not some big gotcha moment. Now getting back on topic, today the US has finalized the trade agreeing to swap Victor Bout, the Merchant of Death, for Brittany Griner. And a lot of people have been scratching their heads saying that this seems like an unfair trade, a pretty lopsided deal, because the Merchant of Death isn't exactly some lightweight. And that title alone is scary. That's like releasing Cobra Commander, like freeing him from the G.I. Joe prison. This isn't just some nobody. This is a very, very well-known arms dealer. In fact, they have a whole goddamn movie about this guy called Lord of War, starring Nicolas Cage. This isn't some small fry, not some faceless old pop Wiggleberry that was convicted for kegeling heroin. Like, this is a big deal. Now, of course, I do agree that this was a wrongful conviction. Brittany Griner's punishment didn't fit her crime. This was pretty outrageous. Like, yes, I understand, like, a law was broken, but this kind of enforcement of it is absurd. And I think getting her out is great, but I do agree with a lot of people that are wondering, could we have got more for this trade? Like, right now, there are still 2 other US citizens that are imprisoned in Russia. And we just gave up like our biggest Yu-Gi-Oh card here to barter with. Could we have maybe grouped them all together, be like, we'll give you the Merchant of Death, we'll give you the super duper ultra rare prisoner if you give us all 3 of your prisoners of ours. Like, I feel like that would have been a much more fair deal. Like, right now there's a Marine sitting in there that's been there since 2018. Like, I definitely feel like maybe we could have played this a little bit better. Now, of course, I'm not looking at the deeper political motivations and angles to a negotiation like this. I'm not here to dissect the inner machinations of this kind of swap. I'm looking at this as a pure layman reptile brain. And to me, while I'm happy that she's been able to return to the US, I would have liked to have seen that for the other 2 victims there. I would really like if we made the same level of effort to bring them home as well. And I feel like this could have been a great opportunity for it, since they were using the goddamn Merchant of Death. Like, just imagine the perspective of the Marine that's currently there for the last 4 years. You know, he hears Brittany Griner got released in a prisoner swap. He's like, oh, who did they trade? The fucking Merchant of Death. And then, like, well, who are they? Are they trying to get me out? Oh, yeah, they are. Well, who are they willing to trade? Oh, just some, like, Russian dude who stole a pack of cigarettes from a gas station. For some reason, the Russian government's not taking that trade, though, but they're doing their best. Like, I think this was a good opportunity to swing for the fences, get the whole kit and caboodle, grab the other 2 prisoners as well in this swap. That seems like a much, like, more even deal, if you ask me. You get all of the U.S. Citizens that are held captive in Russia right now out all at once in one fell swoop. Of course, I'm just a pea-brain fucking idiot, so perhaps that pipe dream was never an actual possibility, but, you know, to me it sounds like it could have been feasible. Like, get Saul Goodman on the line and work the deal. Like, it just seems like the Merchant of Death had a lot of weight for bargaining. That's just how it appears to me. Now, if you thought that's where this story ends, you're a damn fool, because there was a massive plot twist nobody saw coming. Vin Diesel may have played a role in this. He may have been the one that actually saved the day here. A lot of people are praising him for an Instagram post he allegedly made last month, where he had a picture of himself at a Lakers game giving a thumbs up with the caption, "I need Brittany Griner home before Christmas." Now, when I first read about all this, I assumed this was a fake screenshot. I mean, it doesn't even have a verified checkmark on his name. It just seems like a meme that was made to troll and get a little goofy on Twitter. But Rolling Stone and Yahoo both seem to think that this was a real post Vin Diesel made and then deleted shortly thereafter. So who really fucking knows, honestly? I just love to toy around with that fan fiction that Vin Diesel somehow scared the Russian government into accepting a trade to get Brittany Griner home after he made his Instagram post. Like they're all just panicking at the headquarters, going from phone to phone. No, I saw it. No, I saw it. Yep, I know. Jesus Christ, I understand. It's all gonna burn down. Vin Diesel's gonna come over here with his goddamn Dodge Charger, and he's gonna kick our ass. He's gonna beat our fucking ass. It's just such an entertaining idea that they never had any intention of ever trading Brittany Griner until Vin Diesel made his post, and they're like, oh my god, we're on a tight time crunch now. Now we're on the clock. This is a cutthroat schedule. Vin Diesel wants her home by Christmas. Okay, get the Americans on the line. We'll orchestrate a trade ASAP. We cannot allow Mr. Diesel to get involved in this. like that is just so like amazing to think about. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about this situation a little bit because it's a pretty wild one, and really that's about it. So yeah. MrBeast just dropped a new video where I compete in a big old game, but that's playing second fiddle to the drama it just spawned with me in the center of this singularity here. It sent Twitter into a piranha feeding frenzy here, with me getting spaghettified in the middle of this black hole of drama. So let's make like a package and address it. It's this clip right here.
What's up, bro?
Hey, nice
How are you, dude? I like your videos, dude.
I appreciate it.
I know you talk some shit, but...
Everybody hates Logan Paul. Is everyone around Logan just a fucking idiot?
I'm always super happy that people don't take it personally, man.
I don't.
Okay,
I don't.
Thank God.
I understand I'm a and I appear to be a bro. So good to see you, bro.
And also, Prime's pretty fire.
Thanks,
I'm not
bro.
allowed to say it on camera.
I get it, bro. I get it, bro. Talk, bro.
Good luck today, all right?
Yeah, likewise, bro. Likewise.
People are already lining up with the pitchforks, lit torches, and spit out apple juice about how fake I am and how I folded in front of Logan Paul in person, cowering in fear, piddling my little britches. For some reason, the biggest part about that is what I said about Prime, which is like, oh, Charlie's super fake, he shits on Prime online, but in person, behind the scenes, with the mask off, he actually loves it. I'm not sure if this is people maliciously lying about me, like Pinocchio, or if they just genuinely don't know, or maybe heard something that was wrong, but I've never shit on Prime. I've actually only ever talked positively about it on stream or in videos. Me saying it's pretty fire but I can't say it on camera is literally the simplest joke ever, like a water cooler joke at work. I've talked about it on camera numerous times. Anytime I've ever been asked about it or have made a video where it's been a subject, I've always mentioned that I actually think Prime's pretty good. Like, here's a quick example from a video I made a year ago when there was those like wakey wine scams or whatever about Prime. All just to get their hands on some Prime. I've had it before because in the States it's not rare, it's not hard to come by. I could walk outside right now and find like an unopened pallet of Prime. It's really just in the UK that this hysteria is sweeping the entire nation. It's going absolutely crazy there. So I've tried it, I think it's good, I have no complaints, but I certainly wouldn't be beating some ass and being that desperate to get my hands on a bottle. And I still wouldn't. You wouldn't catch me running around like a fucking Frankenstein's monster trying to hunt down a pallet of Prime, but it's good. And I've always said that on streams and in videos, so I don't know where this narrative is that I've shit on it publicly, but behind the scenes I'm actually like an addict injecting it into my veins or lying to Logan Paul about it. I've always consistently said I actually like Prime. I think it's pretty fire. So I don't know why that's something that's sticking. Like, I prefer gamer sups, obviously, but that doesn't mean every other drink that's a competitor is bad. It's not. But now let's get to that second part where Logan Paul's spiritual pressure sent me to the floor like it was right out of the Bleach anime, and I was just trembling in fear to confront him directly. So, this was filmed a month or so ago, a little over a month ago now. Since then, he is now apparently suing CoffeeZilla. Either Logan or someone on his team is suing CoffeeZilla, which is a massive fucking L. That is brain-dead activity for sure. But when this was filmed, that wasn't happening. What was happening was he was publicly trying to make amends with the victims of his CryptoZoo scam that he butt-fucked them all with, and as far as I know, he has been paying some people back, and at the time was still in the process of paying people back through whatever, like, program he set up for it. But there was none of this lawsuit going on, and one of the first things that he said was that he actually deserved all of the shit that he got for it, for all of the mistakes that he made. Ludwig was also there, someone else who was shit on Logan Paul, and Logan was saying something to a similar effect there as well, from what I recall. So at the time, he was in the process of trying to fix all the dog shit that he put innocent people through. And when I talked about this on stream and in the videos about CryptoZoo and what was going on with it with the updates, I had always said, as long as the victims are made whole again and they get their money back, that's a happy ending. But Logan is still a scumbag for ever doing it in the first place, which is something that he also said he deserved everything he got from doing that. So, I have always said as well that I never harbor hatred for someone who will actually change. There's nothing to gain with just holding a grudge forever. That's childish. If someone is actually willing to learn and grow from things, I'm more than willing to break bread with them. Logan Paul was very respectful of not only all the other competitors, but all of the staff at the event as well. So when he reached out to say hi, I was more than willing to be receptive and mature about the situation. He immediately opened up about all of the problems that he had caused and how regretful he was. So what would be the point in me getting there and just spitting on him if he's actually going to start being less of a piece of shit? That's the whole goal of calling someone out, so that way they can learn from it and not be that insufferable asshole anymore. Of course, fast forward to the current episode of Dragon Ball Z, and apparently he's suing CoffeeZilla, or someone on his team is, which brings me to that other statement that's floating around that video where I called everyone around Logan a fucking idiot. And that is super true, because I don't know who the fuck Logan Paul surrounds himself with, but it must be actual lobotomites, because I don't know who would sign off on Logan suing CoffeeZilla. But at the time, that wasn't happening. All that was happening was him seemingly actively trying to fix all of the things that he fucked in the face. Now, as for the not taking things personally statement, I've been very consistent with that from the very beginning. When I make a video about something, it's usually just for the sake of making jokes or being goofy about it, so I never really want whatever I'm talking about to be taken in a personal level or as anything like that. Though that does vary on a case-to-case basis depending on how serious the topic is, because I've absolutely crossed over the line in making things much more personal than they probably should. But usually, I try and just keep it more surface stuff about why something is bad or whatever happened, whatever they did is fucking stupid or whatever. A great example is The Manny Show. I recently made 2 videos about The Manny Show's fraudulent copyright strikes, and The Manny Show just made a response video a couple days ago where they took full responsibility. They explained that they hired a monetization manager who kind of went rogue and started striking channels against the Manny Show's will. Once they learned about it, they immediately fired that person, and they just took it all on the chin, took full responsibility, and made no excuses whatsoever, and even addressed all the videos that were made about the Manny Show, saying that it was all warranted, and that they understand that it came from a place of just trying to look out for the ecosystem. The Manny Show doesn't believe in censorship, and it was just a really good response overall, and the Manny Show didn't take it personally. Even though what I was saying was very mean, for sure, like it definitely wasn't nice. I didn't exactly have the soccer boppers on. I was going fucking bare knuckle with some of the things I said about the Manny Show. They still didn't take it to a like personal offense or anything. Another great example is FaZe Rug. FaZe Rug was in this competition as well. FaZe Rug, I've also made a couple videos on making fun of. Absolutely. And FaZe Rug actually reached out like a year ago to talk about like, you know, hey, I hope you don't hate me, Charlie. Like, I've watched your videos on me as well, and I want you to know, like, they actually made me laugh. And in person, FaZe Rug kept that same energy. He was a super nice guy who was talking about, like, yeah, that shit was kind of cringe, and the things you were saying made me giggle about it. And that's how I always want it to be when I make a video covering something where even the protagonist who I'm making jokes about can watch it and not be mad, but instead be entertained about it. And hopefully not walk away from it thinking that I have this burning hatred for them that will never go away. Now, in Logan Paul's case, it is a little bit different because with the dead body situation as well as the CryptoZoo scam, I definitely did get far more personal than just like surface level jokes, talking about him being like an actual piece of shit surrounded by sycophant pieces of shit as well that just continue to enable horrible behavior. But at the end of the day, all of it was geared towards a goal. In the CryptoZoo scam, getting everyone paid back and explaining why it needs to be paid back and is a horrible thing. So Logan Paul taking that and letting it not be personal but instead constructive is the best case scenario there. Not just for me, but Ludwig and everyone else that's called Logan Paul out, which was like half of the fucking competition, by the way. So it's just, I don't see why this ended up being a huge drama thing, because all of it's consistent with all of the shit that I've said on stream for like the last 6 months with Logan Paul. Since CoffeeZilla's last update on Logan Paul and CryptoZoo with the refunds, like where's the refund and where's all the money, following that and talking about it, I have maintained that as long as people are paid back, that's what matters. And as far as I knew, there were measures being taken place that were getting people their money back. That's a good thing, and hopefully Logan Paul can learn from this and this kind of shit won't happen again. All of this should really be nothing new. Here's another quick example about me always being willing to talk to or at least engage with people that I have called out on a personal level. The Sneeko beef, the medium rare beef that I had with Sneeko that lasted for a while, culminated with me actually getting in a call with Sneeko and talking, person to person, about all of this shit. Just hashing it out, well, not face to face because, I mean, obviously it's through the internet, it's the fucking cyberspace, it's not face to face, but it's the same thing. We directly talk to each other. So meeting Logan in person and him wanting to talk about this, I was more than willing to do, and he was very respectful, took full responsibility and accountability in person, so I was more than willing to be mature about this and talk to him as a human being. I don't see why in any circumstances this would be perceived as being two-faced. I did this most recently with Sneeko. Before him, it was that person that was calling me a deep state, new world order chill or whatever, brought him on the podcast to talk it all out. Like, it's something I've always done and always will be willing to do. I think it's very childish to just plug your ears and say, boo, 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 not listening to you, whatever, and not engage with someone that you have an issue with. And again, this was filmed over a month ago when I wasn't privy to any new dogshit behavior from Logan. This lawsuit with CoffeeZilla is new. So I couldn't call him out on it or anything like that. So I don't know what else to tell you other than this isn't anything new. I've always been more than willing to talk to and be mature with people that I have called out and had grievances with in the past, as long as they are willing to engage with me and be mature about it as well. And Logan was. So yeah, overall, great MrBeast video. I lost and also got thrown into a ton of drama, so that was pretty fire. That's about it. See ya.